Our team traveled all the way to Tanzania to find out what's happening in the Tanzanite market. Now, Tanzanite is this stunning violetish blue gemstone that comes exclusively from one place on planet Earth, at the base of Mount Kilimanjaro in the foothills in Tanzania. Tanzanite has been called the gemstone of our generation because it's a single source gemstone, has been mined continuously since 1967, which means, unfortunately, it will eventually run out.
Diamonds, rubies, sapphires, Padparacha sapphires, emeralds, alexandrite are all able to be made by man, but not Tanzanite. And that is due to its perfect geological formation. What the Earth did 1.5 billion years ago, the conditions and the geochemistry is so unique to Tanzanite. Man attempting to put all those elements and conditions together would cost way beyond what it would cost to actually mine the gemstone in its natural habitat in the mines.
According to our sources, suppliers have been withholding Tanzanite rough, and far fewer cut and polished stones are actually making it back to the US market.
So why is this happening? Well,
after the Tanzanian government took control of the mining sites there in Mererani, everything shifted on the ground. Now, instead of a couple big players, there are dozens of small mining operations trying to see what they can find, including the Maasai people, because Mererani happens to sit on traditional tribal lands of the Maasai. So the Maasai have free right of passage, meaning they can go around whenever they'd like and collect any Tanzanite rough that they may be able to find. Mererani is divided into 4 mining blocks, A, B, C, and D. Ultimately, we weren't allowed to enter any of the mining shafts due to safety concerns. The shaft at Block D, it's around 500 to 600 meters deep, but it continues to run horizontally after it stops at the bottom. We met with the engineers from the Ministry of Minerals, and they explained in depth the extent of the mining operation. The winch you see here allows for the lifting and lowering of materials, equipment, and the miners themselves. The controls allow the operator to manage the movement of the load within the mine shaft. We timed it, and it took about 8 minutes for the cable to wrap back around the drum and for the mining cart to emerge. So that gives you a sense of how deep underground these miners are actually working. From the D block, we move to the C block, which is the former home of Tanzanite 1 Mining Company. This is where housing for the miners was located. We couldn't tell what it's being used for today, but we took a look at the C block's mine shaft and met some of the miners as they finished their day's work. But the one thing we didn't see at the Tanzanite mine? Tanzanite. Yep, you heard that right. At the Tanzanite mine, we saw no rough Tanzanite. Now, Tanzanite is still coming out of the ground. Now, we're still buying Tanzanite directly from Mererani in Tanzania, but we were a little bit confused as to why we weren't allowed to see any of the Tanzanite rough coming out of the mine. It does make you kind of question what's really going on with Tanzanite.
basically, Tanzanite is still super rare because it only comes from a tiny area in Tanzania. But the government now tightly controls the mines, splitting them into smaller operations and regulating extraction. This makes less stone reach the market, creating scarcity, and the government does it to protect the resource and make sure mining benefits the country even more than before.
Now, we were able to see and experience some of Tanzania's amazing wildlife and natural beauty, and we'll leave you with that here at the end. But before you go, make sure you stay tuned, subscribe, like, comment, share with everybody. I'm Matt Wegson for Shop LC, taking you mine to market for Tanzanite.